These computers seem to be everywhere these days, on the desks of newspaper writers and reporters and editors, in private homes, and in offices all over. Some of us have a hard time making these computers do even the simplest things like write a letter. We've got to learn the difference between a byte and a bit and boot. We've got to learn to remember whether the control key helps you escape or whether it's the escape key that helps you gain control. But of course, not everybody has to wage battle against computers, because many people can claim victory working with computers. That's certainly the case for people in the office of one agency in Ketchikan who are working with computers to help manage one of Southeast's most abundant resources. Covering about 17 million acres, the Tongass is the largest national forest in the country. It's the home for a variety of wildlife, including bear, deer, and eagles. Streams throughout the forest are used by salmon for spawning. When an area of the forest is being considered for harvest, the Forest Service assesses the environmental impact that cutting will have. With the assistance of the computer, more information is available for these land management decisions.
Geographic Information System, it's a computer system that's a marriage between two types of computer systems that have been around for quite a while. One is a computerized mapping system. It draws maps and stores maps. Another system is a database, and that stores large volumes of information, files and tables of information. This system combines both of those types of system into one, called a Geographic Information System, a GIS. It opens up new types of analytical things we can do that we could not do before. For example, you can query the computer given a set of attributes about a piece of land, such as what type of wildlife habitat you're interested in and what type of timber stands. You can ask the computer to draw you a map showing the locations of those. Or vice versa, you can point to locations and ask the computer what the attributes of those locations are. So it's very easy to crosswalk between the two different types of data in that way. Before, it was quite laborious. The only link between those two types of data was a human one.
Prior to the computer, obtaining the attributes of an area were made by overlaying a series of maps. For example, to find out how many acres of a harvest area are in a specific wildlife habitat area, the appropriate maps were obtained and a dot grid was used to calculate the area.
You have to count the number of dots in the orange area, in the blue area, multiply times 2.5, and you come up with the acreage of that particular piece. This is 5,000 acres. The current plan we're dealing with is 650,000 acres. So you can imagine how much time that took somebody to do that. We're finding that to work up the data and process and put it into the computer takes about twice as long as our old way of gathering the data. But we can do the analytical processes, the counting of the dots and the drawing of nice maps in about a quarter of the time. And these are rough figures, but we look like for a particular project we save, in terms of manpower, save about half the time. And of course the database lasts for longer than one project.
One of the beauties of a GIS is that we can query the machine to show us all the potential timber harvest units that have good timber, that aren't in deer winter range, that won't impact goat populations, that aren't on near a sensitive stream bank, and that are on stable soils. And what this means is that we can design timber sales that have less impacts on wildlife and fish populations. We can easily modify the location of the timber harvest unit and run another scenario and see if we influence something else. By moving the harvest unit away from the deer area, we might influence salmon in another area. But easy, very flexible database once it's built.
I've asked the computer to call up information from the channel type map and display all of the anadromous waters in this specific area. The red are the possible logging units, and all the alternatives will be a combination of some of these put together. And as you can see, immediately I have a feel for which units I would like to see as harvest and which units I wouldn't. So right during the first step and during alternative construction, I have that tool.
Using computers with maps can show what an area will look like after a proposed harvest. Information from a topographical map can be entered into the computer from a digitizing table and combined with the harvest boundaries to provide a perspective drawing of the site.
Well, once this data is then converted from the map into the computer, we can bring it up here and start playing with the information in the computer to produce these graphics. Now we'll use these terrain pictures of these terrains with the activity on them to get an idea of what the activity will look like from a boat on the water or from a road. And we may want to look at a different alternative, different type of harvest pattern. The idea is to minimize as much as possible the visual impacts of these activities consistent with the level of importance of these different viewing areas and these different landscapes.
Terrain of a particular harvest location is important in determining what type of yarding equipment is necessary to remove the fallen timber. A computer provides a model of the equipment's operation.
It can tell us for a particular terrain, particular yarding situation, what kind of equipment would be needed to yard this area. It shows you a cross-section of the ground. In this case, we might have a road located up at this point, and this would be the area that we want to log to that position on the road, and that would be a low point indicating a stream here, so we would need to suspend over the stream and the soil on the banks here. So we want to check and see if that is feasible to do that and do it economically and also provide the right amount of protection for the resources here in this particular area.
Planning a road to remove the logs from a harvest site is another area for computer assistance. Surveying information for a proposed forest-level road can be entered into the computer. Amounts of earth needed to be removed or filled in can be calculated, and drawings of the plans can be produced.
Okay, this line across here is basically what your ground is like, and this is what we call the template. And this is what your road will look like after it's constructed. And this shows how much cut area, and here's a little cut, here's a little bit of fill. And then this shows you basically what it'll look like when it's after it's built. Basically, they tell us when we're how economically we are designing the road. If they have too much cut or too much fill, it costs us more money. So basically, using this program, we can figure out the most economical way to design the road.
From building roads to evaluating the environmental impact of a certain harvest area, the computer is providing valuable assistance in developing the Forest Service's land management plan.
In terms of a summary of the benefits we think this will have for the Forest Service, not only is savings in time, increased accuracy in the way we can deal with data, better ability to draw maps to communicate with particular audiences, and it opens the door on a variety of new analytical processes we haven't been able to do before. The public is continually interested in more and better information from us as we determine how we're going to manage the Tongass National Forest.